Hi, I'm Rashonda. I'm the creator of this YouTube channel as well as the artbyro.com website where you can find an additional 250 art and drawing tutorials. So be sure to check that out, but of course watch this video first, which I'll be showing you how to draw this fun, quirky, kind of whimsical surrealism type flower. It's a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did, and it's great for beginners. Are you ready? Let's go ahead and go on over to the art studio and get started. Today I'm going to be drawing a kind of a whimsical surrealism type flower. Not even sure exactly what you would call this. I feel like it's probably closest to surrealism, but in more of a doodle, cartoony style, I guess. If you have any thoughts on that, let me know what style this would be considered. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's fun, it's easy, and it's a little bit different. So that's kind of the point of this one, was to do something different. A little bit out of my normal type of drawings. So starting with a circle, and you can make it kind of sketchy with some shorter lines, so you can try to get it round. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to draw some petals for the flower. You can do these a lot of different ways. You can make them more squared off. You could make them circular. And I'm going to go ahead and let them go right off the edge of the paper. I'm not going to try to squeeze it all in. Because the focal point is going to be the eye more so than the flower itself. So I'm just working my way around this circle. And then if you want, you can look at, does it look balanced? Does it not look balanced? And this one looks a little too wide compared to the other one, so I'm going to make it a bit thinner. We could put a second row in here if we wanted to. It doesn't have to be completely balanced, but you can kind of look and see how those open areas feel for you. And then just keep working on it until it's good enough. Doesn't have to be perfect. Everybody's going to know it's a flower, then it's good. If you're trying to make it look like a flower and it doesn't look like a flower, then maybe clean it up a little bit, make some changes. And then for the eye, we're not going to do anything real detailed or crazy. So we'll start by drawing a little almond shape. Extend the top lid up a little bit. It just makes it look a little bit better, I think, anyway. And then draw a circle. I'm going to do a nice big pupil. So this is going to be the pupil. That'll be black. And then this will be the colored part. And we don't need a bunch of details. Like I said, we're going to keep it pretty simple. We're not going for anything too realistic. We could do some lashes on the lower part. So that's pretty much it for the drawing, and now we can move on to the outline. But like I said earlier, you can make your flower however you want to make it. You can do the eye however you want to make it. So my goal when I do these tutorials isn't necessarily to have a bunch of people drawing these exact same drawings that I'm making, which obviously that will happen to some extent, but my goal, my hope, is just to motivate you to get started, maybe follow along in the tutorial for your first one, and then after that you can try doing more and changing them up a little bit, and then you have something that's just yours that no one else has ever done before. And one of the, I think the easiest ways to do that is by repetition and just trying some different things. So maybe you follow along the first one, and then the next one you try doing the flower different, or you do the eye a little bit different. And you can change it up a little bit and try different things. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, I think, and I'll be back with you when I get the outline done. Now that the outline is all done and the pencil lines are erased, we can start working on the color. And I'm using alcohol markers. You can use anything. Color pencils would work good. I'm going to start by filling in a section. I'm just using a bright yellow. And like I mentioned earlier, one way to change it up, vary the drawing a little bit to make it look different, you could do a different color. You could do different shapes for the flowers. And all those little tiny details can make a pretty big difference in what your final drawing looks like. So it might not seem like much, but if you make a few tiny little changes, then you can have something completely different. And like I said earlier, it's sort of a surrealism style, but a more cartoony take on it. So we could get a little more trippy, I guess you would call it. So maybe instead of making the lines straight, we could make everything wavy and kind of psychedelic looking. You could go on the internet,
Pinterest or Instagram or wherever you like to look at artwork and look for inspiration, and maybe do some searches for surrealism, not necessarily flowers, but just surrealism, and see what kind of ideas you could get that you could use to take this concept of this flower and make it different. Get some inspiration, maybe some ideas for colors. And get some ideas for, like I said, how to do the lines. Or maybe get some ideas for the flower. Maybe make the flower more animated by changing the view of more of a side view, 3/4 view, instead of a straight on, just right to the front of it. So there's a lot of different things you could do to create artwork that's yours. Because I feel like for most people, that's the goal. You don't want to just copy what everybody else is doing. And if you're very beginner, just starting out, then that's copying someone else, following a tutorial and following it step by step exactly as they do it. That's kind of a good starting point. And if that's what you do and that's what you enjoy, or if you're just starting out, don't feel bad about doing that. But if you feel like copying what someone else is doing is not very fulfilling, not very rewarding, and you feel like you want to be able to make your own drawings, your own original, unique, not just copying something, a way to do that is to take the drawing you're doing and just make some changes. And if you don't know what to change, go look it up on the internet or in social media and see what kind of ideas you can come up with. So even if you just change the colors or change how you do the outline, just change one thing, then you're creating something that's new and original and different, that's just yours. And even if you copy directly, step by step, exactly as I'm doing this, yours is probably going to look a little bit different, because we all put our own little spin on things. Hopefully you can make your circle a little bit cleaner than I made mine. Today's just one of those days that my hand does not want to go where I want it to go. And that's okay. Today's the day that I want to do this and that I have time to do it, so sometimes we have to deal with our bodies not cooperating with what we have planned. But I don't think your artwork has to be perfect. And it's not always going to be perfect. What's more important is doing it, getting it done, enjoying it, relaxing, being creative. And sometimes we just got to do the best we can and enjoy it. So I'm going to do all of the petals the same way. And I'm going to go ahead and speed this up in a minute here. The background, I'm just going to do a couple different greens. I'll do a light green and then add some little dark green coming out around the edges. This I'm just going to fill in with this purple. But I want to show you the eye. So I found this marker that I have, and it's got 3 different greens. And I believe I got this in one of those Sketchbox, which if you're not familiar, Sketchbox is a subscription. They send you random art supplies, and the idea is to get them and make something out of it. And this was one of the things, and I like the concept of it. I've not actually used it a whole lot. It's got a light, medium, and dark. So what I did was put the light one down, and then I'm going to take the dark, or the medium rather, and add a little bit of the medium, and then I'm going to do the dark. And add a little bit of the dark on there. And that's it for the eye. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, and I will be back with you when I get that all colored in. I got everything colored in, got the background colored in, which the background is another thing that you could maybe do a little bit of research and see what surrealism backgrounds might look like. Get some ideas for some different effects to have in there. So the last thing I usually do with my drawings is to add a little bit of white with a white Jelly Roll pen. And I like to add the white because it breaks up some of these big areas of color and adds a little bit of contrast. So I usually just go along the edges somewhere. And you want to stay consistent with how you're putting them on there. So what I did was I added the white on the outside edges around the perimeter going this way. And then in the middle I just kind of switched sides. So it's on the top here, and then the middle one is just wherever it is. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this, and hopefully you feel inspired to create some of your own artwork. And I will see you next time. Happy creating!
That's it for today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully you feel inspired to create some of your own artwork. If you did enjoy the video, please hit that like button. It really helps me out, and I sure do appreciate it. And you can subscribe if you want to get notified of future videos. And before you leave, check out the description box. There's some freebie information in there for you, as well as a list of the art supplies that I used to make this video. And I will see you next time. Bye!